Onse bebe, onse bebe, onse bebe, Omo Fayemi nse bebe, onse bebe, ni Ado-Ekiti. Onse bebe, onse bebe, onse bebe, onse bebe, Omo Fayemi nse bebe, onse bebe, ni Ado-Ekiti.
When Dr. John Kayode Fayemi took oath of office as governor of Ekiti State on Saturday, October 16, 2010, he immediately declared that he was on a mission to rescue Ekiti. His vision of a greater Ekiti was encapsulated in an 8-point transformational agenda: governance, infrastructural development, modernizing agriculture, education and human capital development, healthcare services, industrial development, tourism, and gender equality and empowerment. In just over 1 year, the administration has impacted virtually all areas of the social, economic, and the political life of Ekiti State. The John Kayode Fayemi-led administration has demonstrated its sheer will and commitment in good governance. For instance, the administration has already signed about 25 bills into law. Most notable among them are the Freedom of Information FOI Bill and the Gender-Based Violence Prohibition Bill. It is on record that Ekiti is the first state to domesticate both laws. Governor Fayemi also displayed the spirit of good governance when he traversed the length and breadth of Ekiti State in an effort to collate the people's input into the formulation of the 2012 budget. Watchers of Nigeria's political developments have hailed the move as the first time anywhere in the nation that a government would formulate a budget which clearly aggregates the direct and exact needs of its citizens. It was a truly people's budget. Another area where this administration's good governance program has reaped dividends is in the area of revenue generation. The introduction of the electronic receipt or the e-payment system has helped shore up the state's internally generated revenue (IGR) from 109 million naira in October 2010 to 600 million naira. The governor has even promised to hit the 1 billion naira mark by June this year. In an effort to tackle the hardship faced by civil servants and students in the state, the present administration procured some luxury buses to provide some relief. 6 of these buses were commissioned in January this year by His Excellency with a promise to procure more in due course. Apart from being the only state in southwest Nigeria to commence the 13,000 naira relativity pay for its workers, the present administration has also commenced full implementation of the new minimum wage for all workers in its entire workforce. It is indeed noteworthy that the least earner in the state civil service today earns 19,330 naira monthly. Introduction of the e-payment system, which has now made it possible for all the workers on the state government's payroll to receive their salary not only promptly but uniformly. Before Governor Fayemi came on board, security was a major challenge in Ekiti State. But his administration has continued to invest in securing the lives and property of the citizens. In June 2011, the administration donated 25 patrol vehicles and some ICT equipment to the State Police Command. This was followed by the donation of 2 Hilux pickup vans to the Nigerian Army in the state. The administration also donated 2 armored personnel carriers to the police in December 2011. The administration also procured and distributed equipment and vehicles to the State Firefighting Office. And the state administration has just employed 300 youths who completed training as traffic marshals under the recently established Ekiti State Traffic Management Agency, EKISTMA. In October 2011, the Kayode Fayemi-led administration launched a social security scheme for the state's elderly citizens. Under the scheme, elderly persons of 65 years and above are being paid a 5,000 naira monthly stipend. That payment is being effected on the 25th of every month. Over 20,000 elderly persons have so far benefited from the program. It is worthy of note that the process of selecting beneficiaries transcends party and religious lines. Today, no one is in doubt of the genuineness and the sincerity of this program.
Also, to su gebe aloti and we are the nyimoide eso
gbogbo Nigeria àti ìgbọ̀rú ẹ̀rí àwọn kan tí ń gba mo sì júwe Wema Bank fún àwọn tó kọ́kọ́ rẹ́jísítà lọ́jọ́ sí so tí wọ́n dẹ̀ lọ gbà lójú mi pàtó báyìí tí wọ́n lọ gbà.
The State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, last year distributed relief materials and money to victims of rainstorm in towns like Okeako, Ipao, Ikere, and Ado-Ekiti. And in its bid to make the business of governance more transparent, accountable, and inclusive, the state government, under the leadership of Dr. John Kayode Fayemi, recently launched a new digital media platform. The site www.egedistate.gov.ng contains integrated multimedia digital media channels, online social media, and mobile media. It is now easy for anyone to visit the site and see all the activities of the government. Today, Ekiti State also boasts of a new ultra-modern House of Assembly complex and a new Secretariat complex. An ultra-modern Deputy Governor's office has also been commissioned, providing a befitting accommodation for the state's #2 citizen. Provision of social infrastructure is without doubt the biggest preoccupation of the John Kayode Fayemi-led administration in Ekiti State. In just over 1 year, the administration has voted about 12 billion naira for the construction of 13 roads across the state, spanning 195.87 kilometers. These are the 24-kilometer Igede-Awo-Ido Road, 19-kilometer Ikere-Ibaraudo Road, 24-kilometer Ikogosi-Ipole-Loro-Efon Road, 17-kilometer Ijoise Road, 17-kilometer Ijero-Ipoti-Ayetoro Road, the 17-kilometer Ilawe-Ibaraudo-Ibuju Road, and the 43-kilometer Oyeikun-Otun Road. Aramoko-Ijero-Ido Road, Ado-Iworoko-Ifaki Road, the 4.9-kilometer Ojumoshe-Bashiri Police Headquarters Road, Ado-Ekiti, the 1.65-kilometer Fajuyi University Teaching Hospital Road, also in Ado-Ekiti, and the 3.62-kilometer Ejigbo Baptist College to Ilawe Road, which is almost completed. The Special Projects Monitoring Committee, set up by the government, has expressed satisfaction with the quality of work being done by the contractors handling the roads. Today, all across the 16 local government areas, Ekiti State has become one massive construction site. With what is on ground now, the next few months will be a new era in the history of Ekiti State. According to Governor Fayemi himself, the state is entering the phase of see and feel. He also assured that Ekiti people will now feel the impact of government like they have never felt it, especially in the area of infrastructure development. Governor Fayemi, after meeting with the contractors, reminded them of his administration's zero tolerance for shoddy jobs. The bulk of the money for the road projects is from the 20 billion naira which has been sourced from the capital market and the money allocated for the urban renewal project in the state budget. The just completed multi-million naira Ero Bridge in Ewu town is another achievement of this administration. The Olobe Canal in Ado-Ekiti is already being channelized to put a final solution to the problem of perennial flooding in the area. Aside the 13 road projects, the administration has also embarked on the construction of 5-kilometer roads in each of the 16 local government areas in the state. The 5-kilometer road projects are to be spread across the various towns and villages in each local government. Work has already commenced on all of these road projects, and the people have begun to feel a new lease of life.
Chief George Ajanaku, a PDP chieftain, has said, well, in the first instance, the road project, which I feel exceedingly happy of. There are some other road projects which had not been touched before, which is being. I think this is very, very commendable.
adúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run fún gọ́fìnà tó wà lórí oyè torí àwọn ìjọba àná wọn kó wa jẹ ní wọ́n da kíní pẹ̀sí ìlẹ́dú ni wọ́n dà sórí kíní tí wọ́n da họ́ọ̀lì létí wọn kó ń bẹ̀.
ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ọmọ Fáyẹmí ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ọmọ Fáyẹmí ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ ó ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀bẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì.
ètò ìlera ọ̀fẹ́ o fọmọdé tàgbà o ààbò ẹ̀mí àti dúkìá ńkọ́ ó sanwó fẹ̀yìntì.
The government has also launched an urban renewal program. Under the first phase of the scheme, Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, is currently undergoing a beautification program. The aim is not just about giving Ado-Ekiti the semblance of a capital city. It is also to make the capital more investor-friendly and, most importantly, create an environment for healthy living. Today, Ado-Ekiti metropolis is already wearing a new look. The Fayemi administration has also made some giant strides in the area of electricity. For instance, in his first 100 days in office, Dr. Fayemi procured and distributed 100 units of brand new transformers to all the 16 local government areas of the state. That has since helped a long way in driving the rural electrification program of this administration. In the last few months, not less than 10 communities have been connected to the national grid. Perhaps the greatest benefiting communities are Ukeako in Ikole local government and Ilemesho in Oye local government, where for about a century, the two communities have never had electricity supply. But today, the communities, like many others, are grateful to the Dr. Fayemi's administration for changing their lives.
Àti tẹ̀lú ìdó ń lọ bí igba ọdún títí àti mo ti ṣe kékeré títí di 2011 December àgbúrò nǹkan tó jẹ́ ná ibi tí a ti wá nírèlè wọ́n ti níná ìkọ́ ọtí níná tàpá yìí ti níná àwa nìkan náà ni òní ṣùgbọ́n gbà tó dé ní December 2011 inú wa dùn.
Prior to Dr. Fayemi's coming on board in October 2010, water supply situation in Ekiti State was nothing to write home about. But the present administration is already putting in place measures to ensure the availability of pipe-borne water throughout the state. Presently, Ero Dam, which supplies 10 of our 16 local governments, is being rehabilitated to function optimally. Other dams, like the Ureje Dam in Ado-Ekiti, are also receiving government attention. Across the major towns and villages in the state, new pipes are being laid to ensure effective distribution of water into homes. The administration has also constructed a new traders market at the Olokwe area of Ado-Ekiti. The market was built to resettle traders and artisans displaced under the Urban Renewal Program. The Kayode Stadium, which this administration inherited in a dilapidated state, has been renovated and is now an ultra-modern facility. Health, like they say, is wealth. For Ekiti people, there could not have been a better time in the history of the state as witnessed a glorious dawn. Under the free health program, government-owned hospitals would provide free health care services to children under 5 years, pregnant women, physically challenged persons, and elderly citizens aged 65 years and above. Seasoned medical practitioners and health officials have been engaged to take healthcare delivery even to the doorstep of the people. Special teams of health officials have treated various diseases and symptoms like diabetes, hypertension, ulcer, dental and eye problems. The team also conducted antenatal clinics as well as provided enlightenment on HIV/AIDS. Over 100,000 eyeglasses and drugs worth millions of naira have been given out to patients. Over 300,000 people, mostly at the grassroots, have benefited from the free health program. The scope of the program covers 34 pilot facilities selected across the 16 local government areas of the state. The administration has also procured several units of ambulances for public health services. The challenges of inadequacy of skilled health personnel and poor infrastructure in the state's health sector is also being vigorously addressed by the administration. That's not all. Ekiti State is the first to implement the CONHES and the CONMES. Today, medical doctors in the state are among the highest paid in Nigeria. Education and human capital development is number 4 on the Dr. Kayode Fayemi-led administration's 8-point transformational agenda. In its desire to tackle the daunting challenges facing the education sector in the state, the Fayemi administration organized an education summit in May 2011. The goal of the summit included achieving a consensus and political will of all stakeholders in charting a dignified path to revamp the education sector. The education summit was chaired by now late Professor Samuel Aluko. The summit came up with far-reaching recommendations, some of which the government has already implemented. One such is the consolidation of the 2 state-owned universities, University of Ado-Ekiti and the University of Science and Technology, Ifaki, and the controversial University of Education, Ikere. The state now has the Ekiti State University, EXU, boasting distinguished university administrators and experts. The goal of the Fayemi-led administration is to turn the university into one center of education excellence that could export the state's core potentials in the sector. And in fulfillment of his promise to put a computer on the desk of every student by the year 2014, Governor Kayode Fayemi has just distributed 11,000 units of laptop computers to students of public secondary schools in the state. The gesture is the first phase of a multi-billion naira project under the Ekiti State e-schools program. Computerized instructional materials were also given out to the students. Beneficiaries also included students from the schools for the physically challenged and teachers. The laptop computers, dubbed Computer JKF, are meant for students in JSS 1 to SS3 in all government-owned secondary schools in the state. His Excellency also procured and distributed 400 motorcycles to the State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, to ease the hardship faced by teachers in the rural areas. 32 monitoring vehicles were also purchased and distributed to education secretaries and area education officers in the 16 local government areas of the state. And in spite of its lofty achievements in a sector in just over 1 year, the Fayemi-led administration is not relenting in its efforts to restore the lost glory of Ekiti as the ideal fountain of knowledge. The achievements of this administration in the area of human capital development are also in leaps and bounds. When in March 2011, Governor Fayemi promised to create 20,000 jobs for Ekiti youths before 2014, skeptics dismissed it as merely a political propaganda. But less than 8 months after he made the promise, his administration has created 5,500 jobs for the youth under the administration's job creation scheme. Today, of the 5,500, not less than 300 have been absorbed into regular employment. The administration also gave out a 20 million naira loan under the state's entrepreneurship development program within its 1 year in office. 21 young graduates of Ekiti State origin benefited from the loan, born out of the government's belief that entrepreneurship is the key to economic growth of any society. Under its microcredit scheme, this administration has procured and distributed 100 Suzuki cars and 40 buses to the 2 drivers' unions in the state. About 100 motorcycles were also distributed to commercial motorcycle operators under the scheme. Market women, cooperative and trade groups also benefited from a 40 million naira microcredit revolving loan disbursed in March 2011. The Fayemi-led administration has also set up the Udua Skills Acquisition Center to train young school leavers to be self-employed and self-reliant rather than looking for white-collar jobs. The center, which is in conjunction with the Udua Investment Limited, has an industrial park, artisans village, and other facilities to make Ekiti an industrial hub. That is not all. The government, through the Ekiti Enterprise Development Agency, has empowered young entrepreneurs with financial incentives to establish their businesses and contribute positively to the economy of the state. Some of the projects already completed by the EEDA include the Gari Processing Industry at Igidi and the Sawmill at Aramako. The Office of the Wife of the Governor has also continued to empower the physically challenged persons. She recently distributed state-of-the-art wheelchairs and other walking aids to persons with impaired mobility. Tourism, which is the 7th pillar of the administration's 8-point transformational agenda, is another sector that has received massive attention. Over 1 billion naira has been earmarked to rehabilitate the state's tourist attractions with a view to making Ekiti State a prominent tourism destination. There is no doubt that the 8-point transformational agenda of the Dr. Kayode Fayemi-led administration is being religiously implemented to give the people of the state a new lease of life. Now, the state is being moved from the backward situation to the path of steady progress. Little wonder then that the People's Mandate was voted as the Governor of the Year by the Abuja-based authoritative newspaper Leadership. For the people of Ekiti, our glory as the land of honor is now being restored. This is just the beginning. Just keep faith.
Eduma